Alright, hey guys, we're live. I'm doing this before I forget, because I think I wanted to do it once before, but I forgot. So, first of all, if you guys are unaware, cell phones, there's a law that's been passed that a cell phone, whether it's active or inactive on a cellular network, can make a phone call to 911 on any network. So for me, I'm on T-Mobile. Let's say maybe I was out in the mountains and I just happened to get cell, and there just happened to be a Verizon tower nearby. Well, I could call 911 and it would go through with no problems. Just make it. Or if I didn't have a SIM card in my phone, or back in the day it was just an unactivated CMDA phone, great, I could do that. If you guys don't know what CMDA is, I don't know the full details how to describe that. Basically, it was basically a way to use a phone without a SIM card, the way most phones worked, but it was a lot more complicated to switch networks. You had to flash the phone and do some crazy code type stuff with it. But anyways, I was about 6 or so, and I had a old phone of my parents I was having fun with. It's like fun to take pictures, different things like that. But I typed in a bunch of random numbers and I pushed the call button, kind of thinking it's not going to do anything. And let me say, I was pretty cautious about like things doing stuff that probably shouldn't be done. There was sometime around then I was staying at my mom's office while she had work during the day, and I think that was when my dad would go to the gym, or I forget how that worked, but part of the day I was with my dad. Part of the day I was having fun in the back of my mom's office, chiropractic office. This was before it was in her house. And I don't think she was actually using it at the time, but she had let me install a version of Peachtree accounting software on an old computer that I was using there. And she said I could do whatever I wanted to. It wasn't going to do anything. Um, I don't remember if I had internet in the office. I don't think I did. I might have, and just not really used it a lot. But I even had a TV back there too, which was cool. But I was messing around with it, and there were some online internet features. I clicked on one, and it seemed like it was actually starting to do something, which in my mind meant financial modifications, or telling somebody that I have some amount of financial money to do something with when I don't, and so I got scared and left the program. So I'm pretty cautious back then about things. So now back to this 911 thing. Um, and I've actually never told anybody this story. You guys are the first to hear, but I'll make sure that my mom sees this pretty quickly too. I was for a while worried about it, like I did something wrong, because what happened was I dialed a bunch of random numbers. And I pushed the green call button because I'm curious to see what happens when you have an unactivated phone. Can't actually call anybody, so nothing bad can happen, right? So I did that, and the familiar, lady, like usually when you hear beep, 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 I'm sorry. The number you are trying to dial cannot be called. Please try again later. So it was that lady, and I forget exactly how it was worded, but it was basically something like your phone's not activated, can't make a phone call right now, you can't ever call 911 if there's an emergency. And I'm like, okay, interesting. I wonder why they said that, because this phone's not activated and it can't actually work. And I vividly remember kind of being in the bathroom of the old house, not like going to the bathroom or anything or taking a bath, but the door was open. That's just where I happened to be. And so, and if you guys want to see a little bit of this house, go check out my video on how I started collecting alarm clocks to give you an idea of what the place looked like. But the big thing is, I was in there, and so I'm like, okay, so obviously nothing can happen. So I dialed 911 to see what would happen if I then followed that prompt, because it's not activated, nothing can happen. So I did that. I waited a bit, a few rings, and then 911, what's your emergency? I hung up that phone real fast. I kind of remember it being a flip phone, so I like closed it, hung it up really fast. Nobody came to my house, thankfully. Nothing ever happened. But actually, the sad part is that I tied up 911, even more so than just the initial phone call. Because the problem is, and this is why if you ever accidentally dial 911 or your kid dials 911, what you're supposed to do is get on the phone and say, hey, I'm sorry, this was an accidental dial, or my kid accidentally dialed this number. Everything is okay here. And then, once they confirm everything's okay, then you politely get off the phone. Because if you dial them, and then you hang up, they wonder, did something happen? Did maybe the phone get knocked out of their hand by an intruder? Or are they unable to talk? Is there other health issues going on? Are they having problems breathing? And so they're going to spend a little bit of time to try and track the number down and find out what's going on and if they need to respond. So I was scared, yes. And I'm sure, if any officers saw this, they wouldn't be mad at all. I mean, if you're mad at a 6-year-old kid who dials 911 because a phone told him to, and he doesn't think it's going to work, then you've got some serious problems in your life. But yep, anyway, that's pretty much it. And I will say I was terrified of that, so scared. I just didn't want to tell anybody. Kind of felt like, oh my goodness, that actually worked. And it's wrong to call 911 when it's not an emergency, which this is clearly not an emergency. I'm just gonna not tell anybody. And back then I had no idea that dispatch actually tries to, do some tracing of numbers and see if there's an actual emergency going on. So if I had known that, and someone had told me, you want to say, I'm sorry, accidental dial, no problems here, then I think I might have done that. But then I also might have been a little bit too nervous and terrified too. After all, I am an introvert, so I'm pretty shy, especially back then. What else? Oh, but a big thing about tracing numbers when you don't really hear much of anything. There was one story, I think I saw a video about this years ago. This was years ago. Basically, this man was saved because his cat dialed 911. I forget all the details, but basically his cat was able to take the receiver off the phone and somehow knew how to dial 911. Makes me think there might have been heavenly intervention in there. But he was definitely having some kind of heart attack, I think it was, or something similar to that. And I think they did hear the cat meowing on the phone, but, they were able to get there and respond and save this man's life. So anyways, that's it. Let me guys know down in the comments below if you've had any situations with you accidentally calling 911 and whatnot. Leave a like if you liked it. Get subscribed if you want to see more like this. Also, check out my other stuff because I do a lot more than just this talking style Let's Talk video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys in whatever's next.